I'm talking to you today about oil tank removal. If they were calling in the age of COVID, so chances are you have time, you're home, and maybe you want to get your tank removed, so you're calling a couple different companies, and you have multiple quotes, which is being a smart consumer. I want to tell you what you need to look for on a tank removal contract. Clearly, you want to have the contractor apply for the permit who's removing the tank, because they're responsible for complying with regulations. There should be a permit fee associated with that, which you should be aware of that you're going to need to pay. Obviously, the contract needs to include the labor to excavate the tank, cut it open, clean it. There's typically a per gallon charge to get rid of the liquid, all right? So once the tank is clean, liquid is removed, the tank gets pulled from the ground, it's going to get inspected, and they're going to backfill it. So there should be a reference in the contract regarding how much backfill they're going to use. For a 500-gallon tank, you're going to use 2.5 cubic yards. For a 1,000-gallon tank, 5 cubic yards. The next thing you're going to be looking for is what kind of testing evaluation are they going to do. On regulated tanks, what you're going to wind up doing is you're going to be taking soil samples, and you do the same thing for residential tanks. Up to a 500-gallon tank, you take 2 samples. Up to a 1,000-gallon tank, you take 3 samples. These samples in the state of New Jersey have to be acquired by a licensed subsurface evaluator, okay? Some people will call them a geologist, a project manager. That person went to college, has a hard science degree, and is licensed to take those samples. If they are not licensed to take those samples, if the tank leaks, the data is useless. You cannot utilize it and send it to the state. Lastly, you have that project manager who's taking the samples. You need to have them somewhere referenced in their contract that they're going to write a report documenting everything. We get phone calls every day from people who have removed oil tanks, and I ask them for a copy of the report because the tank leaked. They're like, we don't have a report. I'm like, it should be in your contract. I read the contract, no reference for a report. I said, what about the soil samples? Oh, they didn't take any soil samples. They said it was useless. It's mission critical that this is all done. So I've talked to you about really the key things that you should be looking for in the contract that will differentiate it. You might be looking at a contract for a tank removal, and maybe that one is like a couple $100 less, one is a couple $100 more. That difference very much is probably associated with the fact that the higher cost is the one that's including the soil sampling and the reporting, which is really the ultimate thing that you want when everything is said and done to close this out as an issue. My name is Dave. I'm with Curren Environmental. We're licensed in 3 states for tank removal: New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. Over the past 20 plus years, we've moved tens of thousands of tanks. We are tank experts. If you have a question, call the office, ask for Dave, or if I'm not in, please feel free to speak to anyone. We have a staff that's fully knowledgeable about these regulations. Happy to take your call.